She told me I wasn't invited, but she forgot I know how to show up when it counts. My name's Derek. I'm 38, and I live in St. Louis. Been married to Tara for almost 6 years. We've had our ups and downs, but lately, things had been more down than I cared to admit. It started with a conversation in the kitchen. Tara had just come home, dropped her keys on the counter like always, and casually mentioned her coworker Jake was having a birthday party at some fancy rooftop bar downtown. Then she added real quick, "It's just a work thing. No spouses, just coworkers. You wouldn't know anyone." That sat wrong with me. Tara used to drag me to every boring office happy hour and staff party. I've spent countless nights nodding politely while she talked shop with her work friends. Now suddenly, I wasn't welcome? She didn't even look at me when she said it. Kept her eyes on her phone, scrolling through something with a half smile. Then she was in and out of the bathroom, curling her hair, spritzing perfume I hadn't seen her wear in months. When I asked what time she'd be back, she just said, "Late," and shut the door behind her before I could ask anything else. That was the moment I stopped pretending I didn't know what was happening. See, I'm not a jealous guy by nature, but I'm not stupid either. I'd already noticed the late nights, the phone flipped face down on the table, the sudden giggles when she was texting someone, and I'd already been doing a little digging on my own. With help from a buddy in IT, I found a second Instagram account she didn't know I knew about, a Finsta, as the kids call it. Private. Cute little username. Different profile pic. Just her close friends and, apparently, Jake. The day after she mentioned the party, she posted a photo. Jake, in a towel, smirking at the camera like he knew he shouldn't be there. And the caption? Just 3 heart emojis. So much for just coworkers. But here's where it gets good. That same night, while I was doom scrolling and trying not to lose my mind, I decided to check her company's event page. Public stuff they use to RSVP for big mixers. Lo and behold, there it was. Jake's rooftop birthday party. Open guest list. Right there in bold letters. Spouses and partners welcome. My stomach turned over. She didn't just lie. She wanted me gone. Out of sight. Out of her double life. I sat there for a good 20 minutes, staring at that RSVP page, rage bubbling up inside me. I wasn't sure what I was going to do at first, but one thing was clear. I wasn't about to stay home and pretend everything was fine. I was going to show up. I wasn't going to scream or throw a drink or cause a scene. I was going to walk in calm, collected, and carrying the one thing she couldn't ignore, the truth, and maybe a little surprise. Because while she thought she was playing me, I'd already downloaded every photo from her secret account, including the one of her and Jake. The one with him half naked, with her initials in the caption and a heart-eyed emoji right next to it. That was the photo I had printed. On a t-shirt, full color, dead center, impossible to miss. She wanted a curated night with her curated guest list? Fine. But I was bringing the real story, and I was going to wear it on my chest. This party was about to get real. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and suddenly suspected something was wrong. It happened slow. A quiet kind of shift that crept in so gradually, I almost convinced myself I was imagining it. A few months back, Tara started getting busy. Work piled up, she said. Deadlines. New campaigns. I tried to be supportive, brought home dinner on late nights, cleaned up more around the house. But she started coming home later and later. Half the time she'd already eaten. The other half she wasn't even hungry. And when I tried to talk to her, she was glued to her phone, smiling at something she never explained. I knew that smile. It wasn't for me. She kept her phone locked, of course. Changed the passcode even. Said it was because of work privacy. But she never used to care who saw her screen before. And now? She started placing it face down. Always. Like clockwork. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Maybe a rough patch. Every couple hits a rut. But then came Jake. She started bringing him up more and more. Not in a let me tell you about my great coworker way. Nah, it was subtle. She'd roll her eyes and say things like, Jake was being ridiculous again. Or, Jake said the funniest thing today. Always like it was no big deal. But there was a rhythm to it. The kind of rhythm that only shows up when someone's trying to make a name sound familiar. Safe. Jake, Jake, Jake. Every few days. Like a breadcrumb trail she didn't realize she was leaving. One night, I decided to pick her up from work. She'd forgotten her charger at home and asked if I could drop it off. But I figured I'd go all the way and surprise her instead. Just trying to be thoughtful. Normal. A good husband. I parked across the street from her building, waited in the car for a few minutes. Then I saw her. She was standing on the sidewalk outside the lobby facing a guy in a fitted shirt with that confident, always-on smirk. Jake. No question in my mind. I recognized him from the company website. She was laughing, touching his arm lightly just once, but long enough to make my chest go tight. Then he leaned in a little, said something that made her laugh harder, and her hand brushed his sleeve again. It wasn't sexual. Not blatant anyway. But it wasn't how you act with a coworker. Not when you're married. When she spotted me across the street, her posture snapped straight. She stepped back, gave a quick wave like she hadn't just been touching another man. When I walked up, I asked, "Who was that?" "Oh," she said, like it was nothing. "Just Jake. Office clown. You'd hate him." She said it too fast. That was the night I stopped trusting what she said and started looking for what she wasn't saying. I waited until she was in the shower that weekend. Opened her laptop. I don't like snooping. I really don't. But things weren't adding up. At first, I found nothing. Just work documents and the usual social stuff. Then I noticed a second Gmail tab open in the background, a dummy email with a weird variation of her name. One she'd never mentioned. That's where I found it. The Finsta. It was private, locked down tight. But guess what? She was still logged in. And there it was, a timeline of photos that painted a whole different picture of her life. Selfies at happy hour with Jake's hand casually on her waist. A blurry pic of them at someone's apartment with her legs crossed into his. Little heart captions. Inside jokes. Private smiles. Nothing pornographic. Nothing I could print out and take to a divorce lawyer as Exhibit A. But it was still damning. A private digital world where I didn't exist. Then I found the one that made my stomach drop. Her and Jake. Laying in bed. Laughing. Shirtless. A dumb Snapchat dog-ear filter slapped over their faces. Her caption, "After-party snacks with the reel on." I just stared at the screen, my jaw clenched so tight my molars hurt. She changed the password the next day. Probably got spooked. Maybe she realized something felt off. But it was too late. I'd already downloaded everything. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because I wasn't looking to start a fight. I was planning something better. If she wanted to lie quietly, I could wait quietly. But when the moment came, I was going to say everything. All at once. I spent the next 3 days perfecting my delivery. The shirt was easy. I took the clearest photo, the one of her and Jake shirtless in bed, him grinning like a fool, her with that dumb filter on her face, and uploaded it to one of those custom t-shirt websites. Paid extra for rush printing. I didn't want it small or subtle. I wanted it huge. Right across the chest. Full color. Big enough that even the bartender wouldn't miss it. When it arrived, I held it up in the hallway mirror. For a second, I wondered if I'd lost my mind. But then I thought about her hand on Jake's arm. About the way she looked at me and said, "Just coworkers." About how she lied and laughed behind my back while spending my money, living in my house, and planning a future with someone else. I zipped up a plain black hoodie over the shirt. Regular jeans, clean sneakers. Just another guy showing up to a rooftop bar. I even trimmed my beard and threw on cologne, something casual but sharp. Didn't want to look like a man on a mission. Just a +1 with a drink ticket and a smile. Turns out Tara's company used one of those big downtown venues with open RSVPs through an event platform. I found the link. Registered under her last name. Spouses welcome, it said right there on the page. Bold as hell. When I got there, the check-in desk was barely paying attention. The girl scanned my name off her list, handed me a wristband and a drink voucher, and said elevators are straight back, up to the penthouse. No questions. No problems. The place was gorgeous, string lights overhead, skyline views, music thumping just loud enough to feel expensive. People were already halfway drunk, holding little glasses of fancy cocktails with mint leaves floating on top. Tara loved this kind of scene. And there she was. Near the bar, back to me, talking with a small group. 4 or 5 people, including Jake. He was in a tight gray shirt, sipping something dark out of a rocks glass, his head thrown back in laughter. One of those laughs that says, "I know I'm the center of attention." Tara was next to him, leaning slightly in his direction, her hand resting lightly on the bar. Her hair curled just the way she knows I like it. Red lipstick, little black dress. She looked stunning. Too bad I couldn't see her the same way anymore. I started walking toward them. Slow. Calm. The hoodie still zipped. One hand in my pocket, the other holding my beer. She saw me about 10 feet out. Her whole body froze. I mean, you could see the shift, that instant realization that the thing she thought was hidden had just walked into the room. Then, like she was scrambling to rewrite the narrative, she laughed loud and threw her arms up, all fake surprise. "Oh wow," she said, turning to her friends. "Look who showed up, my ex-roommate. What are you doing here?" I didn't say a word. I walked up, nodded politely to the group, set my beer on the ledge, and slowly unzipped the jacket. It was like a wave hit the room. You know that moment at a party when the music doesn't stop, but all the talking does? That's what it felt like. Heads turned. Conversations stalled. One woman actually gasped. A guy to my left muttered, "Yo." There it was, the shirt. Front and center. Tara and Jake in bed. Grinning like fools, that dumb filter on their faces. Her caption underneath, "After-party snacks with the reel on." I didn't need to say a damn thing. Jake went pale. He stood stiff, holding his drink like it might save him from drowning. Tara's hand covered her mouth, her eyes wide, her body leaning slightly forward like she was about to collapse. No yelling. No drama. Just me standing there letting the silence drag out. Then I gave the smallest smile I could manage and took a slow sip of my beer. Let the party begin. Gasps. Straight up gasps. You'd have thought someone got shot the way that room froze. I've seen awkward silences in my life, but this was the kind of quiet that makes your skin prickle. Tara's face turned red, not the cute kind of blush. I mean deep, blotchy, about to combust red. Her mouth opened, then closed. She stared at the shirt like she could unsee it by sheer force of will. Jake was worse. He didn't move. Just stood there like a mannequin, hands still gripping his drink, his other arm limp at his side. Dude looked like he'd seen a ghost that printed his worst secret on cotton and brought it to a party. "What the F are you doing?" Tara finally shouted, lunging forward like she might try to rip the shirt off me with her bare hands. I stepped back, calm. "Thought this was just for work friends," I said loud enough for everyone around us to hear. "So I figured I'd dress for the occasion." Somewhere to my left, someone chuckled. One of those "oh damn" laughs people do when they know a moment just flipped on its head. Then another voice near the bar went, "Yo, he did not." A woman a few feet away covered her mouth. Jake finally blinked. Tara wasn't done. She tried to grab at the shirt as if her clawing at the image would make it disappear. I took a step back and let her hand swipe at air. "Stop," she hissed, voice cracking. "Take that off right now." I didn't even flinch. Just raised my drink and took another sip. "Seriously," she barked, louder now. "You're ruining everything." The group around us, coworkers, managers, friends, whoever, had gone from stunned to fascinated. Nobody jumped in to save her. Nobody pulled her away. They just stood, drinks in hand, watching the crash. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't scream. Just looked her dead in the eye and said, "You did that all by yourself." Jake finally spoke, barely above a whisper. "Tara, you told me he didn't know." She spun toward him like he'd slapped her. "Don't talk. Just don't." Her hands were shaking. "He's just trying to humiliate me." "I didn't try anything," I said. "You did this. I just let everyone see it." Tara's breath hitched. Then, like something inside her snapped, she let out a choked scream and shoved through the crowd. Not a dramatic movie run. A full-on panic stampede, elbowing past people like the building was on fire. The side exit slammed shut behind her. Jake didn't move. "Damn," someone muttered behind me. "This is wild." Another voice, I knew something was off with them. Then the cherry on top, a guy I didn't recognize, maybe in his 30s, wearing a company badge around his neck, walked past me on his way to the bar. As he passed, he held out a fist. I bumped it without thinking. "We always wondered," he said. "Respect, man." That was when it hit me, this wasn't just about me and Tara. People had noticed. The little looks. The awkward tension. The way she laughed too loud at Jake's dumb jokes. I wasn't the only one picking up on it, I was just the first one to bring it into the light. I walked over to the bar and handed the bartender my drink ticket. "Make it a double," I said. He didn't even blink. Just nodded like he'd seen it all before. As I waited for the pour, I could feel the energy shifting. Conversations had picked back up, but quieter now. People stealing glances at me, then looking away quickly. Like I was some kind of legend or walking disaster, maybe both. I took my drink, leaned on the bar, and watched the skyline for a minute. Let it sink in. I wasn't mad anymore. I'd already burned through the fury. What was left felt cleaner. Cold, maybe, but solid. Like something that had been rotting inside me finally got cut out. Jake eventually disappeared. Slipped out the same side exit Tara used, probably hoping no one would notice. Too late for that. The party limped on, but the magic was gone. Her people started leaving in clusters, whispering, texting, passing their phones around like, "Did you see?" After another 10 minutes, I finished my drink, zipped my jacket back up, didn't want to traumatize the Uber driver, and walked out. As I passed the girl at the check-in desk, she blinked up at me, then glanced down at my wristband. I could see it in her eyes. She wanted to ask, but didn't know how. "Hell of a party," I said. Then I smiled, stepped into the elevator, and let the doors close on the biggest truth bomb that rooftop had ever seen. Tara didn't come home that night. I didn't expect her to. By the time I walked through our front door, the house was dead quiet, no heels kicked off by the entryway, no jacket on the back of a chair. Just silence and the faint smell of the lavender candle she always lit before going out. I stood there in the dark for a minute, taking it in. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. The next morning, I got a text from her sister, Megan. "She's staying with Mom." Guess she deserved that. "No, how are you?" "No, what happened?" Just a confirmation that she knew. That the story was already spreading. I'd expected a fight. An excuse. A phone call full of tears and half-truths. Instead, I got silence. Maybe she knew there was nothing left to save. Maybe she was too embarrassed to try. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. I'd already saved screenshots of everything, the Finsta, the emails, the RSVP list, even the shirt photo. I printed them all, dropped them off with my lawyer, and let the legal wheels start turning. By the end of the week, I'd boxed up her things and left them in the garage. Told her via email she could pick them up whenever, as long as I wasn't home. She never replied. That's when the messages started trickling in. Not from her, from the peanut gallery. Her friends. A few coworkers. People I'd barely spoken to over the years suddenly had opinions. "You didn't have to go that far. That was private. You humiliated her. 2 wrongs don't make a right." I didn't answer any of them. Just blocked. Moved on. They hadn't seen the way she looked at me lately, like I was an obligation. They hadn't heard the lies, felt the distance. They hadn't found the photo, read the captions, been told they wouldn't fit the vibe. Funny how quick people are to defend someone when it's not their name being erased from a life. Jake? From what I heard, he didn't last long. One of her coworkers, a guy named Ben who used to nod politely at me during work parties, sent me a message I actually read. "Yo. HR got involved. Jake's being transferred. Apparently they're cracking down after what happened." I didn't reply, but it made sense. Nobody wants a PR nightmare in their office. Especially not when someone's side fling ends up broadcast in front of the whole department like a soap opera in real time. And Tara? She tried to spin it. Claimed I violated her privacy. Said the image was stolen. My lawyer shut that down immediately. "She posted it," he said, flipping through the binder of evidence. "Even if it was private, she put it out there voluntarily. This isn't revenge. This is exposure." And that's what it was. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I didn't cheat or scream or slash tires. I just let people see what I saw. And apparently that was enough. A month later, I heard her company quietly added a new policy: no partner fraternization. No +1s at staff events unless formally approved. Probably their way of pretending they were proactive when really they were just scared of another rooftop bombshell. She wasn't invited to the next big work function. Word was they didn't want drama. I walked away without a word. No public statements. No big posts. Just filed, blocked, and moved forward. She walked away exposed, humiliated, and alone. Turns out the loudest thing you can say is nothing at all. Just show up, unzip the truth, and let them dig their own grave. That was 6 months ago. Divorce went through quick. No kids, no shared house, just some bank accounts and her IKEA bookshelf I gladly let her keep. We split the savings, closed the joint credit card, and signed the papers without even seeing each other face to face. I haven't spoken to her since. And I don't want to. The silence has been good to me. These days, my life's quiet in a way I didn't realize I needed. I get up, make my coffee slow, sit on the porch before the sun's all the way up. I work. I cook more. I sleep better. I breathe like my lungs actually work now. I'm seeing someone now. Her name's Rachel. We matched online, had a date at this little diner near my place. She's easy to talk to, the kind of person who doesn't flinch when your phone buzzes, doesn't act shady when you ask a simple question. I told her everything. Not the shirt part, not yet. But the rest. She didn't judge. Just nodded and said, "That's a lot. It's not serious yet. But it's honest. And right now, that's all I need." Sometimes when I'm out at the gym or walking through the mall, I see someone wearing a custom shirt, A funny slogan, a photo, some joke I don't get, and I can't help but smirk. Most people don't realize how powerful a shirt can be. Just cotton and ink, right? But the one I wore that night, that one changed everything. I kept it, by the way. Washed it, folded it, tucked it into a drawer. Not as a trophy, more like a reminder. Of what I let myself ignore. Of what I let someone turn me into. Of the moment I finally decided enough was enough. Never thought I'd be the guy who made a scene. I always thought keeping the peace was the same as keeping it together. But sometimes silence isn't strength. Sometimes silence is the shield you hide behind when you're scared to admit the truth. And sometimes, just sometimes, you need to turn the spotlight around. She mocked me like I was a joke. So I made sure everyone saw who the punchline really was. Last I heard, Jake quit a few weeks after the party. People started calling him Finsta Jake at the office. Guess he didn't like the spotlight as much as she thought he did. Me? I'm doing fine. Better than fine. Because I didn't need revenge. I just needed the truth to stop hiding in my gut like a sickness. And once I pulled it out, laid it bare for the world to see, everything got easier. Lighter. Honest. And finally real.